Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Ages Kingdom. In this class, I would like to continue with the nursing research topics, that is data collection methods. So last class I have discussed what are the methods we are using for collecting the data, like questionnaire, interview method, then observation method, anecdotal records. So there are different techniques we are using to collect the data from the samples. So among that commonly used and widely used method or simple method to collect the data is interview method. This is repeatedly asked question. I am telling this topic is not only included in nursing research, it is included in data collection methods in nursing foundation or assessment method. It will come under nursing foundation, it will come under education communication technology, in counseling unit. This is a widely asked question for 15 marks, so listen carefully. So we will see the word, the image itself is saying interview method, means here that there are two persons are there, the researcher or a person or counselor is there, and the person who is a patient or a sample who is giving information, who is collecting the information and who is giving the information. And it is very simple method for collecting the information, but in case of large samples it is very difficult to collect the data because we need to spend lot of time to collect the data from individuals. Sometimes interviews takes a lot of time. If the project works are for long the duration, this technique is a very useful one to collect in-depth information also. Let's move on to the topic. Come. Then we'll see here when we speak about interview method, these are the definitions. So interview method is a method of data collection in which one person, that means interviewer, asks the questions from another person, respondent, which is conducted either face to face or telephonically or through so mostly these two methods we are using widely, like face to face method or telephonically. So during COVID time most of the interviews happened on phone call or on Skype. Okay, so that means there is no face to face interaction. An interview is a conversation between two or more people where questions are asked by the interviewer to obtain necessary information, to obtain or to collect the data from necessary information. What are the characteristics of interview? Can interview can be done by everyone or anyone? So what are the characteristics we have to keep in mind when you are conducting an interview? So the participants or the interviewer or respondent are always strangers, and the relationship between the participants is a transitory one, and that means transparent it should be. And interview is a mode of obtaining a verbal answers to the questions and put verbally, and investigators records the informations, and interviews can be conducted over telephone also, and it is not always limited to a single respondent. So sometimes the interviews can be happen with a group also, and it is not a standardized process, it can be modified according to the situation. And interview should be done like this only, it is not like that, it is a flexible. The next characteristic of interview is it is a flexible, and it is a verbal, and it can be apart from single it can be sometimes group also, it can be done telephonically also. Now we will see what are the advantages or benefits of interview. When you see these two persons are there, when you have a face-to-face interview or telephonically we may have certain drawbacks, but when you have a face-to-face interview there are a lot of benefits are there. These provides a in-depth and detailed information. Instead of other techniques, this interview method will give a in-depth and in-detail information and permits a greater depth of response. Permits a greater depth of response, and data from illiterate subjects also we can collect because it is not a recorded one, or it is not a the respondent should read and reply, those problems are not there. So it can be from illiterate subjects or illiterate samples also you can collect, and higher response will be there because for if you want to collect 1 point they may give 10 points also, so higher response is there. And clarify misunderstandings and ask questions at several levels. In any every level we can ask so many questions, and helps to gather other supplementary information. So because suppose in a questionnaire method the questions are only limited to the certain extent, but in this you can gather even other informations which are relevant to the situation. And use of special devices, and it is flexible and adequate. And for people who are unable to write and respond to the interview is best method. So that is the benefits of interview. Then what are the types of interviews? So benefits I told you, characteristics I told you, and definition I told you, and types of interview. Always, all standard companies or any companies like Naukri or some big organizations or agencies, most of the time interviews they conduct in a structured way. Structured way means only it's a directive interview. They, if they want a position for a principal, they directly make a questions or attempt the questions in that way only. So structured interview. And second one is unstructured interview, means sometimes somebody come with a resume to your office, then spontaneously you may be asking some questions, and you may be, there is a chances for selecting also, that is unstructured interview. And third one is semi-structured interview. Semi-structured interview means they may call on phone, then whatever questions are suitable or relevant, you just ask them. And it is not completely fully structured also, and it is not completely non-direct also, semi-structured interview. And in-depth interview, this kind of in-depth interview mostly we are using for counseling sessions, so that we will collect information from all the sources, from the childhood, from marriage, from their education, from their job, like in-depth interview. This is called like counseling sessions usually people will use. And focused group interview, suppose uh, this focused group interviews mostly we are doing in case of campus interviews, like they want 10 students from among 50 students, they want to recruit for their company, then they will do it as a focused group interview. And next one is telephone interview. Telephone interview means, so many times I told you that during COVID time, whatever interviews has completed, this is all called telephone interviews. So these are the different types of interviews: structured interview, unstructured, semi-structured, in-depth, and focused group, and telephonic interview. And interviewing process. What are the steps are involved in interviewing process? So preparation of interview. First thing, what questions we need to ask for which people, and what kind of interview it is conducted. Is it a semi-structured or structured or in-depth interview? So that's where what you have to do is an interviewer should prepare some preparations. So preparation for interview and pre-interview introduction, that you are so and so and introducing themselves. So that's very important. And next thing, developing a rapport. You have to develop, because when some people need to share some information, it's definitely you need to develop a rapport, then only you can collect a proper information. And carrying the interview forward, record the interview and close the interview. This is the usual steps we will follow in interviewing process. This is the usual steps we will follow in interviewing process: preparation and pre-interview introduction of interviewer and interviewee, and developing a rapport by interaction, and carrying the interview forward, like whatever questions you prepared, that and all you can record and close the interview. So what are the advantages of interview? So main thing is, I told you na, it can be used for even illiterates also, and it easy to collect the information. And even sometimes large people also we can collect, so if it is in a telephone interview, so it is useful to obtain information about people feelings, perceptions and opinions, attitudes, their behavior. And it allows more detailed questions to be asked, so we can get more information beyond questionnaire method and observational method. The high response rate will be there, because illiterates also can be the participants, and respondents' own words are recorded, and ambiguity can be clarified. Suppose they are giving a answers like vague answers or something like that, those things can be clarified very clearly, and meanings of questions can be clarified. So that is about advantages of interview. And disadvantages is, it is time consuming and costly, and high degree chances of interview bias, because if interview is our madam or our some relative or something like that, in such cases they may not share a complete information. So that is the major drawback. It is time consuming, and it requires some preparations like room, separate room and all. They definitely interview can have more bias because of the fear, or because of they want to show that they are good. In that cases, just they behave very smartly and they cannot give a proper answers. So this is about interview method. This is included in nursing research, included in counseling guidance process, the steps of data collection method, and even in the first year nursing foundations also this topic is included. In the assessment methods it is included. For any topic the same answers only will be there. So if you really like my class, please do subscribe. Thank you.